All right, so when I left you last, I had these three strange blue objects on my document. I'm going to go ahead and delete those and get back to my clean blank slate. Okay. What I want to do is I want to talk a little bit more about color now that you have a few tools at your disposal for drawing. So as we filled each of our shapes with color, I had been using my foreground color, which was filled with blue. Okay. Again, you've got a foreground color and you have a background color. This is different from Illustrator where you were working with a fill and a stroke. Again, these are two fill colors, okay, for lack of a better description. You can use your arrow here to flip between your two colors. And you can also click on the color to access your color picker. Now, when you open that up, it should look like this. The last time I used my color picker was when I was recording the video on finding your Pantone color, and that's why my color picker looked like this for a moment, okay? But again, when you open it up, it should look like this. And you're gonna find that based on your color, it's going to provide you that specific hue and then a range of shades and tints and tones that correspond to it. And you can understand shades and tints, of course. Remember, as we move to tints, they're going to go whiter. As we go to tones, they're going to go, or shades are going to go darker towards black. Okay. You can change your color by clicking around. Okay. You can see whatever floats your boat, and you're going to see what your current color is and what color it is that you have selected, so you can see the change. You can also change the hue, okay, by coming over here to the hue selector. You can simply click. You also can drag this down. If I need, a very specific color and I'm finding, I want something that's pinky purple, but not more purple than pink, sometimes I'll grab this little slider, but more often than not, I just click and then I'll come in here. You'll also find that you can click and drag this around. Okay, if you want to have a sort of slower change in color and find something a little bit more specific, that can be helpful. But again, I tend to be a clicker. Okay. Over here, you're going to see a range of different numbers. Yes, you can plug in any of these numbers if you want to. These are the RGB color combinations, the CMYK color combinations. But in the real world, especially in the digital age, most of us are using hexadecimals. And so the hexadecimal is the one that you'll grab most often. It's always a combination of letters and numbers. It's easy to copy and paste into another program if you need it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave myself on this sort of pinky purple color. I'll go ahead and rotate so I can change out my green. And maybe I will try to find something similar, but a little bit lighter to what I have right now. Okay. All right, so those are two colors that I'm going to be working with. You can use the same two colors if you'd like. You can choose any colors you want to. Okay. And so what I'm going to do, again, is I will grab my rectangular marquee tool. I'm going to put it on its own layer. And for the most part, I'm going to use these marquee tools because they just result in clean shapes and, they just look a little more attractive on the document as I'm playing with color. So I'm going to drag out a rectangle. I will go ahead and fill it, okay? And as I put myself on the paint bucket, I want you to take a moment and look at your options bar. Okay, you're going to see first that it is defaulting to your foreground color, but there is an option for pattern, which I'll come back to. Okay, you'll see that you've got a mode, and there is a lot of options here. This is actually something I'll come back to because you have modes within your layers panel, and that's generally where I talk about modes. You also have opacity, and so I'm going to leave it at 100% for now. I'll go ahead and click to fill that. Okay, I'm going to create another layer and another shape. And this time, when I grab my paint bucket, I'm going to reduce the opacity to 50%, and I'll click to fill. And you'll see again that this is the same color, it's just a weaker mix. And so it's going to appear lighter. And although that layer is on top, it's funny, it's acting like it's on the bottom. I don't know why that's doing that. I will come back and play with that in a little while and figure out what's going on there. Um, okay, but again, I've got the same color and it looks different because I've been playing with my opacity. Okay, I will create another new layer. Okay, I'm going to grab my rectangular marquee tool. I'll drag out another shape. And this time when I go to my paint bucket, I want you to change your option from foreground to pattern and open up your patterns and you're going to see a number of different presets. And yours may or may not be exactly the same. I've probably played with this and added some additional ones. But for the time being, I'm just going to grab this sort of polka dot pattern. And again, I'm just going to use my paint bucket to click within my shape. And you're going to see it filled with the polka dot pattern. Now, the thing I neglected to fix is that my opacity is still set to 50%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit back or undo by hitting Command and the letter Z as in zebra. Okay. Undo is also under your edit menu, so you can do undo paint bucket. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my tolerance, or my, not tolerance, my opacity back to 100. And I'll click and you'll see I get a much stronger result. Okay. I will go ahead and do the same thing, another new layer. I'm going to grab my rectangular marquee tool, drag out a selection. Okay, again, go back to your paint bucket. And I want you to note, okay, and I want you to start paying attention to these now. As you get familiar with Photoshop, you're going to notice these gears more and more. And these, generally, it's your option menu in most cases. You have options like to change your view. So right now I have a small thumbnail. I can change it to a large thumbnail. I also can add additional patterns. So for instance, maybe I want to add, none of these are super exciting to me right now, but let's look at nature patterns. And what I need to do is you're going to see you have this option for replace current patterns, which will happen if you hit OK, it'll replace everything that's there. Or you can append it, and that's just going to add those to the bottom. And so now if I scroll further, you're going to see more options. And I'll choose what appears to be flowers. I'll use my paint bucket and I'll click to fill that shape. Okay. So again, there are lots of options here for you to play with in terms of fills that already exist. I will be back in a moment to move on to your gradient tool.